All right, hey, you two. So, question: Sam Bankman-Fried, Bond villain or James Bond?
Well, as the story unfolds, he has done things that is harming the space, and it's not in the best ethics and business sense. So it's not in the good light. No.
Yeah, I can imagine because as Mr. Key, when we last interviewed you, it was like his scandal broke 2 days after we interviewed you, and I think on the very day we posted our interview with you. And so we missed the opportunity to ask you about your reaction to Sam Bankman-Fried. So yeah, I mean, you saw our skepticism around some of this stuff in the previous episode. So I think what does what he did? What's its impact on the perception of blockchain and crypto and Web
I
3.0?
think it has really helped it in one way. The larger population in the world, they are kind of scared because they associate the scam with the blockchain world. But at the same time, for those who know what blockchain is and what decentralization stands for, that is a very good thing because it is proven that centralized entities, things that happen within that framework is where the problems has been with all these scams or companies that has gone bankrupt in the last 3, 4, 5 months. And why at the same time DeFi and decentralized applications have been performing really good. They've been doing amazing job. They have nothing to be bankrupt about because they are decentralized and they're always over collateralized and they function by the demands of the smart contract. So there's no way there can be a scam around that unless someone actually does something like a rug pull on a token. So they have proven well, which reinforce the whole point of decentralization. And now many are scared about being a collateralized entity or being an custodian. They don't want to hold people's assets. They don't want to run
Yeah.
something where they or people around them could cause a disaster. People would like to stay away from that and be decentralized and let users be the owners of their assets. And that is a good awakening. And probably awakening like that is essential for the space to evolve. Just like how COVID brought us to the point where we understood how everyone can work online, work digitally, and how things can function even in a world where people are locked up in their houses. And now this has shown the need of control to the user. And I believe people also would start to realize that they should always hold assets to themselves and not just trust an organization, a hero, or a government. Irrespective of all of that, the asset should be held by them.
That's a fantastic silver lining from that. Jörgen, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree totally. I mean, I think the answer lies in the DNA of the blockchain. Was he decentralized? No, he wasn't. Was he transparent? Obviously not. Was he non-corrupt? I guess not. Yeah, that's what I think. The villain could be the answer.
Yeah.
He wasn't
I prefer the term bullshit artist. I think he's a bullshit artist. Because that's the thing that I struggle with his story too. Like, based on our interview with Mr. Key and other reading and research we've done, the selling point of blockchain is transparency, right? You have this online ledger, you're able to track your assets, but then you have this. I guess he was running a securities or a place where he was holding people's Bitcoin and secretly transferring it to Alameda without letting anybody know that. And so that key component of blockchain wasn't really there, right? That transparency. People couldn't really see where their assets were being housed.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole challenge, right? There are blockchain companies, businesses running and monetizing on the blockchain technology, but they're not on the blockchain themselves. They are not a decentralized company. So it's a whole different game. It's almost like someone who is sitting in a wooden shop and selling steel. He is not having a building of steel. If an wooden shop that is selling steel is crumbling down because of something, it doesn't mean steel is bad. It's just a shop that's made of old wood.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. I will say as a counterpoint to that, or just sort of a different perspective, and I agree with everything, is because you need those inflection points in new technology, those challenging moments that then the authentic people who care about that innovation survive, or typically will survive, where the ones who are trying to take advantage hopefully will fall to the wayside. And so this is one of those moments, and I think so, and there'll probably be many more, but I will say I think there is something special about this problem, in the sense that, because of what you gentlemen just said about it not adhering to the essence of blockchain, a lot of people don't know what that essence is. It's there's this sort of black box, which I think we're also learning that this was obviously being taken advantage by nation state leaders to actually move money or hold money. Or again, I don't understand big finance, but it was intentionally leveraged to be manipulative of cash flow. And at the same time, they also leverage that sort of that non-transparent. You said it's transparent, but the technology, for most people, all they know is this special magic sort of coin or something out there. NFT equals blockchain equals cryptocurrency equals this equal it's, and they're and I think that's one of the issues. And so I think it's rife with the ability to be more easily taken, perhaps, than probably some other new technologies. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
So what you're saying is very true. It's a lack of education because the industry is very busy in innovation, and it is going to take some time for innovation and mistakes to happen, and corrections, understanding, consolidating the nature of what the space is, and then the adoption phase and the education phase starts, which is pretty much what's happening in 2023. Many businesses and companies, they have hit a spot of innovation. They are right now looking at everything that they created, their technology, and they're saying, all this is great. Now what we have is solid. We believe in what we have, and it has proven its time, maybe 2 years, 3 years, having millions of dollars. It's safe. What do I do right now? They are moving to the step of education. So that step is a transitionary process in the nature of where the technology evolves right now. But to give you an high level picture, blockchain is a database. It is storing data in a sequence of blocks. So transparency is not required in the blockchain because a blockchain can also be private. But it is the
Right.
ethics, or it is the philosophy of decentralization, which demands for transparency, which demands for control in the user's hands. Because a blockchain can still be a permission blockchain, that is, a blockchain controlled by a bank or a government or an entity, completely closed, requiring KYC and everything to operate, where they can seize any asset at any time, because it's simply a database. But it is the industry, the direction, and the philosophy of decentralization that is going to change what and how blockchain is used in companies. So at this point in time, as you rightly said, there are multiple terms: NFTs and blockchain, cryptocurrencies, coins, and people mix it all up. But the industry is getting wider by the day. If you asked me in 2013 when I entered the space, the word blockchain did not exist. All you had was Bitcoin, whether you're using Bitcoin,
Yep.
not using Bitcoin,
Yeah.
That's
right?
right.
Yeah, and we're and as we're learning more about this, we're realizing a lot of different terms get conflated, and
Yep.
again, there's a huge level of honestly just ignorance around a lot of these terminologies around it, especially among the general population. Like my grandmother, we talked about her, Mr. Key,
She's
on our
not
last
showing up this
episode.
time. She won't be here.
She's not coming on this
She
episode,
passed away.
unfortunately.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but I think it might be this is a good opportunity for us to kind of baseline some of our terms
Well,
and what we have.
before we do that, I'd like to actually say, hey, gentlemen, thank you for joining the show. This is Sense and Signal, everybody, and we have two guests today from around the world. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. Key, who is a alum of the show. Mr. Key comes to us and is an high-impact entrepreneur building and supporting the next billion-dollar startups, co-founder of Forward Protocol, a WordPress of Web3, the founder of Key Difference Media, the largest and oldest blockchain marketing agency and incubator. He has been in the blockchain space since 2013. He continues to hold many strategic positions and is sought after speaker and advisor in the crypto sphere. He is based in Dubai. And it must have been pretty crazy recently, if I remember correctly, with the World Cup being around in that area, I would assume. And then second, we have Jörgen. And Jörgen is an impact entrepreneur, a philanthropist, a conscious leader, founder of Water 150 by Longhouse Foundation, connecting blockchain with real-world assets by tokenizing 1,000 of the best spring water wells in the world, and earlier founder of the Mamira eye surgery chain in Northern Europe. Gentlemen, I want to say welcome. Thank you for joining us and the Sense and Signal team. And then, Dan, I'm going to pass it off to you.
Yeah. Jörgen, what's your last name?
Ringman.
What is it?
Ringman, which is
Ringman.
Ringman.
Jörgen Ringman.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, again, welcome both of you to the show. And so to baseline some of these, complex terms that often get conflated, we're going to do a lightning round of definitions. So I'm going to read out a word, and then if one of you want to jump in and define it in 20 seconds. So
I'm going to time you guys. So
you only got 20 seconds.
So your elevator pitch of these and this is to help people understand these concepts. So
yeah, so people like coming into this conversation go, okay, I can actually follow some stuff. So term one, blockchain in 20 seconds.
Jörgen?
Okay, blockchain, it's the future. Definitely. Decentralizing what should be decentralized on this earth in a transparent, immutable, and decentralized way. Used in so many applications, is about to get mass adoption the coming 3 years.
Okay.
So,
time.
Cryptocurrency.
So cryptocurrencies are the currencies that's running on the blockchain. Usually it started off as a method of paying fees for someone who's using the blockchain. Just like you would pay fees when you use a road with the toll gates, here you're paying for every transaction, for everything that you do on a blockchain using this currency. But it has evolved to a point where you can create any digital currency on a blockchain, and they're called cryptocurrencies because they're cryptographically created, protected, and functioning.
Okay.
NFT, non-fungible token.
Yeah, started with some bored apes with a $3 trillion revenue, and I think it will end up in most businesses like real estates and real world assets.
Okay.
DeFi, decentralized finance.
Which I believe is the biggest social and economic experiment of humanity so far, where the entire finance system is broken down into parts, from liquidity providers, those who are actually giving money to the creation of the bank kind of a system itself, to the creation of governments, a governance system, to each of the things that we see in the banking and governance models. So imagine all of that not played by one.
Time.
Smart contracts.
Wow, the core of the blockchain technology, it's like 10 rows with codes that connects the whole community, decentralized community, writing out the rules and structure of the community.
Proof of work.
So it is the means by which, for example, Bitcoin works, where it requires someone to put in the electricity and the energy required with machines to compute and answer for the algorithmic questions to mint new Bitcoin or any other coin of that particular network. So proof of work means that you need to put in work to get a result. So it's not easily manipulated.
Proof of stake.
I pass on that. You can continue, Key.
Wait, so it is similar to proof of work in that it requires someone, instead of putting an computational force and work like electricity, they are using their tokens to stake. So you need to have X amount of tokens of the network. You stake it, and then you are validating the network. So it is an alternate, and it's green, which is why Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake.
And finally, stable coin.
That's a cryptocurrency or a coin which is tagged to or connected to another asset. Could be a dollar or gold or any other type of real world assets. If it's stable or not, that it's depending on what it's pegged to. So if the dollar is stable, it will be stable, but it has the relationship 1-to-1 towards
That's a very good description. If the dollar is stable, then the stable coin is stable.
So hopefully that helps the audience get some sort of baseline of some of the things that we're going to be talking about in this episode. So both of you are Web 3.0 entrepreneurs. What are you doing in that space? Jörgen, since you're new to the show, maybe we can start off with you because I know you're doing some very interesting stuff with water and cryptocurrency. So can you describe what you're doing?
Yeah. First of all, I'm not that old in the game as Key is. I heard about the blockchain 2018, and I'm more a traditional businessman or entrepreneur, wanting to do good and wanting to support humans and the planet in the great conscious shift we're experiencing right now on this earth. And I'm very interested and curious about new disruptive technologies. That was the thing with the eye surgery chain I created. I thought, wow, let's get rid of the spectacles. Let's use some new technology. In 2018, I saw that the blockchain is an upcoming technology, and since then I've been learning more and more. And I would say I'm still a rookie in it, but I can understand the depth and the use of it as a technology. And what I've been doing the 5 last years has been interested in water, not because water is the more scarce commodity we will have on Earth in a few years, but because we are water. We are water people. We are 80% water, and we need to drink good quality water. And I got an idea some years ago. Cheers. I have 9.5 pH here. Good water. So what I was interested in doing was to then secure 1,000 spring wells on Earth with really great water flow, and connect that to the blockchain, creating a community around the world, a decentralized community, owning the rights or the water for the future, and create a structure which will hold for 150 years without any interruption of me as a founder or other greed influences of ownership or anything. So we have now created a structure with a Swedish foundation that will hold the water for 150 years, and we connect that to a blockchain community owning tokens pointing to this water flow that will stand there for 7 generations to come. And in this concept, we have built in then impact, so we help people in need. So in 10 years, we will help the 1.6 billion people that has no access to clear drinking water today. And we help well owners that governs for generation good wells out there, but they can't capitalize on it. So we help them to capitalize on their wells. And of course, we help the token holders to get their water from these 1,000 wells.
And so if I wanted to invest in this, right, is that the idea if I wanted to get into cryptocurrency and invest in this, how would I go about it? And then what would be the benefits for me as an investor?
So if you buy a Water 150 token, you get all the utilities which is in there. First of all, you pre-purchase water for 150 years. So if you have one token, you pre-purchase 1 liter of water per year for 150 years. So it's actually 150 liters of water, but you get it distributed every year. And so you get water, physical water. You can get it distributed to your home in bottles, or you can go to the well because you might be interested in seeing the wells. So you can go there and collect it and enjoy festivities or activities and events around the wells, because these wells will engage people in enlighten them about what water is and why it's so important for us, and to keep life on Earth for the future. So
then I imagine part of it is also that you can also donate your water supply to areas of need, right? Like areas that don't have enough water. You could say, well,
Yeah, you can do
distribute
that.
minded.
That is also inbuilt in the system. So if you own one Water Under 50 token, every year you will get another token which is called the drop token, the 1st of January, which allows you then to collect the water for this year. If you don't want to use that water, you can sell it maybe on a secondary market, or you can donate it, or whatever you want to do with it. And if you sell it, it's like a return on investment on what you have in your wallet for long term. So there's several opportunities to use this token.
Interesting. So it's kind of like it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's like an interest rate on top. You're capitalizing on the piece that you have, and so you can actually generate wealth from owning this piece.
Yeah, you could say that. So
water wealth, I guess, or something.
Yeah, water wealth. That's a good name. So you need to survive. You need 2 liters a day. So you need 1,000 tokens per person to survive, or have the lifetime supply of water. But if let's say you buy 1 million tokens, then you can do something else with these other million tokens, and each year you get 1 million liters of high quality premium water. If you want to sell that to some water company, or to other people in need, or you want to donate it, that's up to you. But of course, that's sort of return on investment or an interest in a physical form.
So I'm wondering, and I might have missed something in the translation. What's I can extrapolate sort of some cool value in there, but I'm going to be really reductive in this question. What's the difference between me buying a token, just saying, "Hey, I'm going to give you $10,000 for that thing," and you're okay, cool. I got the same thing. I've got that well water coming to me. What's the difference between those two? What's the distinction?
First of all, you're by being a token holder, you are into this decentralized space of the community, and all the token holders will vote how we should handle this water for the future. So you have the democratic right to affect the how this community will walk forward. So it's like a membership, and the community will have the governance through a foundation, the board of the foundation. And that's what we call the DAO principle, the decentralized autonomous organization, which we will in this project head for in 10 years. So before 10 years, all the investors and stakeholders which has been supporting this project from start, they will be out, they will be bought out. So the foundation will govern everything, all the water assets. So by owning a token, you will be part of the ownership indirectly through the foundation. So you will engage much more close than going and buying 150 liters of water from someone, getting it distributed. So the idea is to create a decentralized community. You should know that water today is one of the most interesting investment categories of all. It's beating real estate the last 10 years. So there's big funds, centralized players, big companies buying up water resources all over the world. And we are a balancing act of this, decentralizing, giving the community a possibility to do the same, but doing it for good and for long term.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Do you know
That's
if I
very
give a stab on that as well, because I'm very passionate about asset tokenization and commodities.
Please.
I believe that in a world where we live, when currencies of the government and countries are weakening, it is important for us to hold commodities that we believe has a value in the future, commodities that we need to use for ourselves. But if we can secure that from a real asset source, and we can use it for ourselves or monetize that for something that sellable for next 150 years, because it's not, I don't think we will ever in the next 100 years find something else as an alternative to water for human consumption. So when we have an asset, it's vital to get it when it's cheaper than when it is expensive. We can go out and buy water right now for any amount of liters, but it is just not practical for us to get fresh water every year for the rest of our life by buying it right now, unless we buy it from a source where it is coming fresh every single time. So if every human can afford to have their own well of that quality, then that is a better deal, because it's fine. You got to have something on your own. It's same as if you can own a gold mine, then that's obviously good. But for people who cannot, we need to own our wealth in commodities, not just water. I would say every form of commodity that has a future. Uh, Water being one, we have gold, silver, and real estate, and oil, and a million different types, from silica to copper to a lot of things that we use. How do we own it in a one-to-one asset-backed way, so we don't have another SBF kind of a situation? I was having a conversation with someone about a particular commodity. They said you can buy any commodity in the world that you want. It's available here. And I asked, is it backed by an asset one to one? Do you actually have that asset with you when you sell me an ETF? He says, this is always equivalent to the value of the asset. But that's not my question. Do you actually have that asset with you, or are you selling me a piece of paper which is equivalent to that asset? He says, you're not understanding. This is an ETF. Well, I do understand. It's an ETF and I don't want that.
So that's interesting, and it's. I think I mentioned this last time we talked. And Jörgen, I'm not sure if you've heard of this book. There's a book out called Sacred Economics. It came out about 12, 13 years ago. It's a spiritual guidance of crypto, if you ask me. Before it probably came out around the same time crypto really was hitting the mainstream, and I think it's just coincidence that there was I think it was a zeitgeist in the air that everybody's been grabbing onto and kind of taking that knowledge and going in their different ways. And this person wrote a book instead of starting a cryptocurrency, and it's a fantastic book. It gets a little woo woo, but the fundamentals are pretty interesting. And the book did spark this concept to me that the whole world is like this trust, and right now it's being controlled by these central powers. And the idea is like, why do they get to control that? How do you decentralize these pieces? How do you as a community actually take ownership of the world around you in a sort of equitable way? And it sounds like you two are talking about that. It sounds like you have a technology that allows to give power back into the people's hands. I do see lots of potential for some manipulations, but the spirit of your ideas seem to be trying to do that in a platonic fashion. Which is interesting.
I think that's what the whole blockchain is about, to move the trust which we needed to have. I mean, it's an evolution on Earth, and we needed to have banks. We needed to have trustful players out there to make trading possible between people. Today we can exchange that in a way with technology and with code, which is immutable, and where we don't need to put human dysfunctions as greed or jealousy or corruption into it. So it's a more safe way of doing business in many senses, and it's an opportunity to decentralize power to the people instead of having the power at few persons or institutions.
So you guys have talked about a whole consciousness shifting around this technology, and which is very fascinating to me, because when I think about blockchain, kind of two things seem to come to mind. One that are antithetical ideologically. One is a libertarianism, right? Like kind of like not wanting the government to be involved or having institutions involved in the regulation of daily life, right? And the other is almost this antithetical, even more, is this kind of socialism aspect too, right? Like, let's have everybody be able to have a say, and I guess it's democratization too, in how this resource is managed and distributed and maintained. What are your thoughts on that?
I think when we talk about blockchain and decentralization, we are having this core element of governance. And that governance would mean it opens up all forms of governance ideas. It could be democracy or any other combination or forms of it. So it is a subset of it. The moment you talk about the whole decentralization, it is a journey where we need to deal with how to form this governance. So that element would come in, but how we deal about it is going to differ from party to party. Not everyone should go the democratic way, and it doesn't just mean that's the only right path. Maybe there'll be new models evolving, and it's perfectly fine. So we already do have delegated modes, like the delegated democracy model that we have. You have direct voting, where every person gets to have a say, and all of those are evolving by the day. And as it's a complex situation, because when you create a company in the blockchain right now, it's quite different from doing something in the traditional world. In the traditional world, you go create a company under a particular set of rules, law, governance, and principles, and then you have that a company that deals with your business. But here, when you create a company that it has the blockchain in there, especially if it's their own blockchain, they are the government, they are the bank, they are creating new political system there. They're creating an model that will work for the next many dozens of years or hundreds of years. So it is a big undertaking. And as Jodah mentioned, there will be problems, there will be failures, there will be mistakes, and uh, bigger scale events happening, which might not always be in the best interest of everyone. But that is the learning path through which we are trying to correct the mistakes of the past. We're trying to find new answers to the same old questions that we have been stuck for hundreds and thousands of years. How do we bring about a system that is specific to a business or specific to an economy where something can work, which is beneficial to everyone, which is in favor of everyone, which puts everyone on a level playing field without the favoritism. It's a tall order, and we are trying with thousands of experiments at the same time to solve it.
Yeah, I mean, every blockchain is writing the Declaration of Independence again in different ways. So we have thousands of examples of that, and some of these will rule for the future and work, and some will not. So it's very interesting and creative space we're in right now.
You're asking about I think you're suggesting a democratization of the ledger of ownership throughout the universe. Basically, the ledgers are going to be spread out. Not one person's going to own it. It's going to be distributed in one form or another. But those who hold the ledgers typically don't give those up easily. And how are you going to get the centralized powers to relinquish that power?
That's a very deep question there. So you're not asking them to let go of their power. You're creating an alternate system, alternate set of functions and businesses entities that functions in a way that doesn't interfere with it. So just like you have decentralized finance, where the money is coming from the people, it is lent to other people, and the interest rates are determined by the market, and that system works as a bank, and it does not interfere with the traditional bank. So you're creating these whole new realities here. And the others, it's a choice. A user can go to the traditional system if he believes in that, or can come here if he likes this. So you're only giving people the choice. I'm not a fan I wouldn't jump in there and say, I want everything decentralized and I want every control to be let off. I'm just saying, let there be a choice for both to exist, and let a person choose what works best for him or her.
Yeah, I agree totally. It's an alternative of today, and today's system. If you look at the economy, the world economy today, is it working good or bad? Is it sustainable in the long run? Do we need a cushion if it breaks? Is the decentralized currencies and blockchain an alternative to go to in that sense? And I think we already seen that it started. This movement, this transition, is already happening the last years. Massive amounts of fiat currency goes in and invest in this decentralized world, and this is just the start. The adaptation of the currency, the crypto world now is 4.2%. It's like 320 million people, which was approximately the same as when the dot-com bubble bursted year 2000. It was 5% then. And then we got the mass adoption of the internet. And I think we can expect the mass adoption of the decentralized world now the coming years in the same way. The trajectory shows that we should be there 2025. And maybe consciously it's synergistically or coincide with the old system failing more and more, getting this inflation, this printing more and more money. And we see that, I mean, if you look at the world economy of today, 100%, 97% of these 100 is economical financial tools working on the 3%. Some years ago, it was 95.5. So on these 5 true value activities on Earth, there are 95% financial tools working on that. And now it's down to 97.3. In some years, when it's down to 99.1, what will happen? Will it fall totally? And if it falls, where do we go? How do we restart the system?
And I think there's already signals that that's already happening, right? California has done a whole report on a study on how to use blockchain technology in government, and the Department of Motor Vehicles is going to adopt blockchain so people can track like how they purchase their tags for the cars, right, in the blockchain, and see where it's at in the processing of those tags. So I think, and so I know they've looked at other ways to incorporate blockchain, because when we're talking about blockchain, it's more than just crypto. There's a lot of different uses for how government could incorporate blockchain and kind of make it less mysterious to the average person at the same time.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you two see like government incorporating blockchain?
I really like the progress that happens during such markets like right now. When the speculative interest goes down, people don't want to gamble on things, then the real creation, real usage of a technology evolves, just like how these governments are using it. Because NFT is a beautiful tool. It is not to sell the monkey pictures. Art is a great use of NFT, sure, but I guess it's more of a 3%, 2% use cases, whereas the 98% revolves around our day to day life. I mean, let me just ask. We have 3 people here. How many of you constantly on a daily basis buy an art? And how many of you show your passport, show your driving license, show your certificates, or buy things that you're using on a day-to-day life every single day? Your variation is always, art is very, very low. It's an occasional thing, or most people don't have anything on the art at all, whereas all the other things rank very high. So if your passport and driving license identification, your certifications, everything is, if it's an NFT in the blockchain, it's in your wallet. Just think about the increase in the adoption rate. Think about how people would realize it. If you go to them on one fine day and say, hey, do you know that whatever you're showing in your app is an NFT? You've been holding it all these years. You just didn't realize it's an NFT. And they would have that aha moment. So NFT can do more than just monkey pictures. And that's important. Like people coming to Dubai, a lot of people own houses here because that gets them visa, that gets them some advantage there. But they don't realize that that is sitting on blockchain. The ledger, the data is on a blockchain. And that's amazing. So we already see these real life things coming up, but then these companies are using it for the purpose that technology stands for. They don't have to market it. Just because Dubai says they're running on blockchain, property prices are not going to go up. And it's the same thing with every other entity out there. They don't market these amazing things because it's not speculative in nature. But then the usage spans across everything that we do in our life, from our wealth, our net worth, to our investments, to things that we hold dear to us, which are what we earned in this life, to our memories, to everything that we see here that's around us, and our experience of what we are even doing here. Probably in the future, we would be doing this in a metaverse. Our day-to-day shopping in Amazon could be in a metaverse. All of that is going to change. And the realization or adoption would happen when a common man who doesn't understand the technology sees or hears that that is what he's using without him knowing that he's using that.
That's interesting.
Jörgen?
I could see that being a revelation for somebody.
Yeah, and when you realize that you had this NFT in your wallet just by having a vehicle in California, we have another million of people using the blockchain, and then we get mass adoption by that. So, and when we reach 10% of the people realizing what this is, then it's a go. Then it will be mass adoption, and we're at 4.2 now. So a couple of years more with these projects, and really welcoming these projects, governmental projects doing this, because it's it's, I mean, if you tried it once, if you have this digital wallet, you've done it, you're like a user of it, then a lot of fear goes away from taking the next step into the community.
Yeah.
Interesting. One of my gripes with governments is the lack of transparency. I don't think that's unusual any around. I think that's just always a situation in every country to some degree. And I'm wondering, is there a story with NFTs for that? Can NFTs be leveraged for for government to track how they actually sort of do business, so that people can kind of see what's happening out there with the government?
It is possible if NFT is used in supply chain, because with NFT, every raw material, everything that is, let's say, being created or sourced can be tagged to an NFT, and its journey can be tracked. So if a raw material is sourced in part A and it's moving to a factory in part B, where a person, whatever his name is, he is working on it for X amount of time, and it goes to wherever it goes. So the life cycle of a product can be scanned and tracked with an NFT, where you scan the final QR code there saying this is the product I'm buying. And then you see a map of all 20, 30 different raw products, wherever you bought it, all the factories it was worked, people who worked on it, everything all connected to
The whole supply chain.
what is it?
The whole supply chain.
The whole supply chain with the experience tied in, because it's a story. Every NFT is a story, and that is the transparency part there, because it's not, you want to know whether it's happening in a sweatshop where a labor is crying, or it's happening in the hands of an amazing artisan who is excited about the product that he's creating. You want to see what is happening there, if they would allow to showcase that. Like, I think Jörgen would object if you say that his product, when the bottle arrives at your house, if they can actually see that bottle being prepared, being tabbed and being stored, maybe he would be glad, because that's a community that he's building. So there'll be new set of businesses coming up who would want to actually show that experience and sell that story, because that's a value that they're creating. And governments would also be happy to do that, because we are seeing a shift in governments. I've been in Middle East for like a couple of years right now, going around many countries, and I see that awakening is here, because governments are inclusive here, and they're looking at bringing people and doing amazing things in a very different way compared to governments from where I come from, or many countries where I've seen. So there's a shift not only in with the governments, but it's also happening around the world, because people are increasingly buying into stories that align with their values. And NFT in areas like supply chain can bring that about, because people would like to be part of things that they like, rather than things that they're forced on.
Interesting. Let me take the dark side of that question. I have to go there. I've got gallows humor. So I just read, in preparation for this conversation with you two, I had to get up to speed a little bit on some things with what's going on in the space. But I did just read 1,000 servers are now capable of 240 million transactions a second, because Beijing wants to watch everything. So Beijing has their own crypto, or their own blockchain they're creating, and they're leveraging it so that they can monitor everybody. So to me, it seems like a co-opting of a technology that is potentially that's intentions are to democratize, but potentially in this example is being leveraged for something much more nefarious. Where I have concerns about that, like this type, because we thought the web was going to be this open thing, and it is this open thing. But we've also discovered that it can be easily co-opted by governments if they want to co-opt it. What are the possibilities of this being inevitably we thinking that this is a decentralized thing, but it's really centralized?
I heard about South Korea coming up with a similar ability to track, analyze as well. And I think that's all great, because technology is going to evolve better with more challenges it's facing. And second, it doesn't mean it's bad. Like, you already do have many tools through which you can analyze, track, comprehend the transactions happening on blockchain, because blockchain stands for transparency. So every transaction that's happening, you can already read it, see it, and there are tools that help you comprehend that data, from information to understandable data to reports that make sense. It's already there. And the purpose governments are going to be doing this is to help them with their taxation, anti-money laundering, and things like that. So I don't really see that to be a problem. And if they do that, I'm sure there'll be also privacy chains and others taking up their side of stance, because that's like a race. So the more they progress, there'll be more innovation here, and that's an ongoing cycle. So there's nothing wrong with it. It is part of the journey. It's part of uh, how cyclic and innovative the world is. And if there is no challenging to it, if there is nothing as a barrier to it, then the innovation would already stop. There would be no more progress in the space. So that's all good. And on the question about whether things would end up being centralized, I would say it already is. It is slowly decentralizing, because Bitcoin mining is happening by specific countries, which already has more than 50% of the mining hash rate. And in the past, there has also been times when 2 or 3 companies were having more than 50% hash rate. And Bitcoin is the only thing that's most decentralized in the space. And apart from Bitcoin and Ethereum, I don't think there's anything decentralized at all. No company, no entity who would come any close to it. So I'm not here to claim that the world of blockchain and decentralization is already decentralized. It's setting a standard, it's setting a journey, and it's happening over a period of time, and we are getting there. So we are in the very early stages of the process, and the system that has been set will lead us to a point where we would be decentralized, as humans are also awakening to this idea. Because when there are few 100 million people using, it's one thing, but imagine a day when half of the world or 20% of the world is using it. There is more resources on our side to actually pull back and create alternatives, because right now the industry is limited by its resources. So we do go back to few players who can afford to create all those different resources to run it. So over time, it's going to bloom, and decentralization will take place with the challenges, with the fights, with the complexities, with the pull and push of centralization, decentralized entities. And that journey is beautiful for us to witness as a new reality unfolds right before our eyes.
Yeah.
The one thing that I picked up on what you said, Mr. Key, is the issue of taxation, and I'm sure government is definitely going to really want to pay more close attention to blockchain and crypto, because they still need taxes to run, right? And so if there's all these exchanges happening that they're not aware of, how do they collect the taxes they need to keep services running?
I think that's a very good question, and I'm sure there are more qualified people to answer that. But from my perspective, if governments just do the job right, do it the right way, tax is not the struggle here. There is some data out there which says even if every wealthy person in America is taxed right now, that is only going to help them probably run the government for half a day or a week, right? That which is why they keep printing the money. So tax is not the reason, not the driver of an economy. You look at many of the like the economy in UAE, which has 0% tax, and Oman, I was there yesterday, and they have 1% tax. And many countries, they have
Right.
super low taxes, but then they're running the economy by the value they provide. In UAE, you have a 5% VAT. When you use any service, you pay for it. People gladly pay for it. People don't evade the tax. They don't have a reason to evade, because they use good services and they're always willing to pay for it. The problem comes when you charge someone 40% tax and you deprive them of all benefits. You don't give them what they deserve. And then comes a problem. People are always willing to
Right.
pay the right money for the right value that they receive. So the question is not about tax evasion or how governments will figure out the way to tax people, but then it's about how governments can make the value that they provide appropriate, that people don't want to take that struggle of doing everything else to evade it. Make it simple, give enough value, give enough reason, people would directly happily pay for it. Most people would. I mean, of course, there'll be bad actors. I cannot stand for the whole of
Yeah.
humanity. There will be bad actors and there'll be greedy people, but majority of the humans are good. If the majority of the people were bad, I think we would already had World War III, 4, and 5 by now.
That's probably true.
I just, taxes in the Western culture that is meant about is let's translate taxes as to provision of services, right? That's what it's supposed to be. We know that unfortunately, functionally, it's subject to grift. It gets sucked away to anything other than services and only a fraction of amount. But again, platonically speaking, every dollar I'm giving to my government is supposed to be keeping my lights running, build a road that I need to get built, maybe build a hospital, right? And we use democracy for that. And so, and again, going back to Dan, I don't know if necessarily what you said satisfies that need, or does it? I mean, I could see.
I think if governments would start putting stuff on blockchain, so let's say they do a project, they are honest and transparent about how and what is the money involved, who are the contractors involved, not in all those crazy documents, but make it simple, make it as a product, market it, explain it to people, start to treat them not as citizens but as customers, and market appropriately to them, and do every activity in that way. And if the service to those people are in the forefront, I think taxation in that model would also work. But people have a choice. If they like it, they stay there. If they don't like it, they would quit that country and go somewhere else. Like you said, people who cannot afford it, they will be stuck there, which I believe is also starting to change, because people are trying to find jobs in other countries where they like the way they are functioning, and they're moving there because people are no longer stuck to countries like they were 50 years back. Now there is more movement, and globalization of talent is happening. So I think there's a balance that's coming up. If talent is moving to a place, if money is moving to a place, if all the investment is moving to a place, there is inherently a problem in the origin. If there's no problem there, then things wouldn't be moving out. So it's an demand and supply. It is an self-balancing act right now. 10 years from now, this self-balancing would be 20 or 50 times more intense, in which case the governments will be at a point of awakening. They have to market themselves well, which means they have to fix their problems so that they're able to retain their talents, or they can just put a ban. Nobody can go out of the country. Sure, I mean, they can do that if they want to. There's law and provisions, I'm sure, but that also shows where they stand. I'm sure there are human rights concerns around that, and many other areas of complexities. I'm not a very political guy, nor that's my forte, but I believe that a government is a service provider. Everyone are customers. Tax is a fee that you pay for the service that you receive. If you get healthcare and benefits along with it, that is great. Does that justify the 40% or 30% that you pay? If yes, that's good. If not, it's your personal judgment to what you should be doing, where you should be moving, and what your future and your future of your family lies at.
Yeah. So, as you've both have made a good case and a strong case that Web 3.0 is here to stay, and blockchain and all of its contingent parts are going to just become more embedded in the culture as more and more people and government begins to adopt this technology. What should we be talking about in terms of Web 3.0 in the future? Like, what do you see are some of the next things happening in the Web 3.0 space that we should be on the lookout for?
Jürgen, why don't you go first?
Yeah, it's almost, as a visionary, it's even hard to imagine because it's such a great potential. As Key spoke about, this is something that will go into the society in every corner. I mean, the crypto of the blockchain space is just a small space, and now the NFT is going out and taking more and more, and we will have logistic and supply chain. The whole decentralized structure will, I think, grow in as our consciousness level of humans rise, because it will follow each other. This innovation is, of course, it can be used for good purpose or bad purpose. That will always be there. But I guess we are increasing our consciousness as a humanity now, and choosing the good causes more and more, because we get a globalized society. And then the blockchain is a perfect tool to speed up this thing. And what comes to the taxes, just to note, I'm living in the hardest taxed country in the world, Sweden. We have like 60% of your salary going away directly.
Oh
and
my
then
gosh.
another 20% of when you do some purchase. So and even there, the compliance of the tax system is really great. And now when the new blockchain actors comes in, they totally direct this so you get automated yearly declarations just by one push. You're like making it very easy, and then of course I choose to stay there and I choose to pay taxes, and taxes will become more of a free market. If I don't like it, I move to another country because it's so easy to move now, just like Key said. So the Web3, I can't predict where it's going. I think it's the future. Definitely, it will be everywhere in the society, and I'm very happy for it.
I see a great opportunity with asset tokenization, which is predicted to be an $18 trillion industry. Every asset around us that we see, know that someday someone is going to tokenize that in the near future. And you can have access to everything in your wallet, in your phone, and they are backed one to the real asset, right?
Even my cup, this will be like an asset whole token for this thing, or are we that level?
Yeah,
Are
I
we
mean,
at that
it's
level?
ceramic, looks like a ceramic, I'm sure, or the art in
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
an NFT. So ceramic can be something that you buy by whatever volumes they sell it at and grades they sell it at. Because already I've seen people who are trying to sell silica, trying to sell yarn and things like that. So it's already on its way. And at the same time, anything that you look around you, I see in the Web3 eyes. Being in the Web3 world for last 10 years, everything I see that tokenized, I see that in the blockchain, I see transparent and decentralized. Asset tokenization is one part. The second is modular softwares. Everything that's in blockchain, every portion, every element will start, there'll be a software company who will be selling that as a service, as a product for companies to use, like a blockchain powered CRM, blockchain powered tax filing system, blockchain powered, let's say, minting of certificates and things like that. Everything will be a service that we could buy as a SaaS product. And third, the metaverse experiences may be a little bit slower than the rest, but that will go up because we are always craving for experience. That's what human is doing. Like, you travel around the world because you like to enjoy the experience of the land, of what that place has to offer. You go to a movie because you want to enjoy the thrill and the experience that comes with it. You go for shopping not just to buy, but to experience the journey of shopping. So we like experience innately as humans, and metaverses offer that from your home, from wherever you are, and that is also going to take up really well. So is DeFi and gaming, and they are already set. It's like setting fire to a cracker. It's already going on its way. There's no stopping. It's going to have its fireworks. It's a matter of time. But the first two things of asset tokenization and blockchain powered softwares, I believe, are underspoken. They are underdogs, and they are going to come out in a much bigger way than what metaverse or gaming industry would, because it is a fundamental aspect of the technology's evolution. And when it comes to something like asset tokenization, I would do anything to see that come to reality, because that's a problem that I face, that it's a problem that I see everyone around us face. And I see that as a solution fixed to the economy, the crisis, and the challenges with the political systems and the problems that we have. It is true to our nature. And if we cannot own things that is valuable to us, that 3% of the economy that Jörgen was talking about, if we cannot access that and hold that 3% directly, then I don't want to live in the world of lies. I don't want to live in the cobweb of things that I don't understand.
Interesting. So we're running close to time, but Dan, I don't think we should really exit this conversation without talking about the other big technology briefly that everybody's talking about, and that is AI. And so I don't really have a specific question. I guess if ChatGPT had a baby with blockchain, what would that baby look like? What's the implication of ChatGPT on Bitcoin? And I'm kind of saying ChatGPT so we can put that as a tag in our thing.
But yeah, AI and all of its manifestations, and yeah, what is the implications of AI on blockchain and Bitcoin?
I think it's going to help it in a big way, because blockchain here is as we know, it's a ledger, data storing, transparency, all of that. And AI can, in a great way, help move things from the Web 2 to Web 3. AI can help in a lot of process around it. So AI working in a place of experience, AI working in the place of reducing a human effort in the process, it can help blockchain move ahead much faster. Just think about an example where you just want to go to a place and you just ask for ideas to an AI. There is an AI based travel planner which will give you all the suggestions of everything that you want to go, everything that you want to see. And hopefully, there will be a metaverse where you can experience other people's visual journey of those places. You can live through their eyes of what they went through on a roller coaster, skydiving in a different place, looking around. You like that experience. Maybe you just buy it because you don't have time. You enjoy it, you store it, or you decide to actually visit the place. AI helps you to find all the different options of people where you can book, and one click, you buy everything. It buys it for you, and then you go there and you start creating more experiences and you bring that to the blockchain world. All of that is interconnected in a journey where you trust things. AI is using blockchain for its trust, for its data, for credibility, for information. And it is storing things back there for its immutability and for a marketplace. So a person traveling right now has an opportunity of not only experiencing things beforehand from an authentic source, but he goes out there and creates more authentic memories which are sellable, which has a value. Just like you go, you take photograph and you sell it on stock website. Now you can sell your experiences in a metaverse. You can start to do so many more things in something as simple as a travel. And now imagine the whole array of opportunities in the world, and bringing that with AI, it is beautiful. It's like born for each other, made for each other.
Jörgen,
We live
thoughts
in a
on it?
science fiction novel.
That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't have the technical knowledge to say something about how they will interconnect, but my feeling behind it is like blockchain is the structure, the trustworthiness which we have, and now AI can come with this almost human connection towards it, doing what Key says, presenting like human experiences in different ways. And when you play around with this chat GPT and make this, I did this Turing test and to see if it really feels like a human there. And I played around for 45 minutes and I really felt like, wow, it could be a human, because it made some errors, which humans did, and searched some mathematical questions, and it made some errors, which totally should be a human doing. So I was really amazed about the version of AI we have in front of us right now. And to combine that with the blockchain would be very interesting. And in a way, we're raising, I come back to this raising consciousness on Earth again. And in those enlightenment spiritual journeys you're doing, I've been into that like for 10 years now. And there they say one enlightenment goal is to reach the Akashic records, the knowledge of every event in the universe. Like that's the main goal, to reach that. And in a way, the chat GPT is that. It's the whole knowledge we have today about Earth packaged in a way. So, and that will enlighten us, or we will be enlightened by it, or what is it? How will this interact in our journey of consciousness, enlightened on Earth? Very
Interesting.
I think that's a perfect way to wrap up.
Yep, agreed. Well,
Well,
gentlemen,
Jorgen, Mr. Key, this was a wonderful conversation. How do people find you if they want more information about your programs and services? I know we'll put stuff in the show notes, but do you want to share any ways people can find you?
Well, you can definitely Google my name, Karnika Yashwant, and you'll have a lot of links there. You can find me on Twitter with the handle Karnika Yashwant, or Instagram 4D Mr. Key. But I'm available in every other channel, in LinkedIn as well. Check out our website, keydifferencemedia.com, if you have a blockchain Web 2 idea that you want to bring to Web 3, or forwardprotocol.io if you're looking at using any blockchain infrastructure without coding, without the complexities that we just spoke right now.
Yeah, and for me, it's Jörgen Ringman on LinkedIn or water150.io.
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Well, definitely encourage folks to find out more about these two fine gentlemen and the great work they're doing. And we'll definitely have to have you guys back on again sometime as we continue exploring this complicated world of blockchain and crypto and learning through you. And hopefully our audience is learning through you as well. So thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you for having us.
Have a great weekend.